Hello everyone, this is Ray Savage with Cambium Networks. Thanks for joining us today. Today we have a very special presentation on the new ePMP solutions, and our speaker is Alex Marcham, who is the product manager for our ePMP product line. During the course of the presentation, if you do have any questions, please feel free to use the chat window on the right-hand side of your nav bar, and we'll get to your questions. And the presentation is being recorded, and it will be available on our Cambium community sometime later today. Well, without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Alex. And Alex, take it away.
Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Thanks for joining us today for the new ePMP Solutions webinar. So just to give a coverage of the ePMP portfolio, those of you familiar with the portfolio will probably notice a new face in the bottom left there straight away. But to cover from top to bottom, for these ePMP subscriber modules, we have the Force 180 in 5 gigahertz, the Force 200 in 5 and 2.4 gigahertz for more higher gain variant for either more challenging links or point-to-point setups, and the connectorized subscriber module CSM there in 5 and 2.4 gig. So for the access points, we have the trusty ePMP 1000 access point with sync there in 5 and 2.4 gigahertz, and the new addition to the ePMP lineup is the ePMP 2000 access point there in the bottom left at 5 gigahertz. So I'll go into a bit more detail on that one soon. So why ePMP? I mean, we go through the portfolio, but at the end of the day, here's really what the products are built to deliver for you. So consistent performance. So what do I mean by consistent performance? Both in terms of the predictable scheduler, in terms of if you have one client that is suffering, he won't drag down the rest of the network, he'll just only affect himself. And interference tolerance. I think these 2 points together make ePMP a very compelling solution to rely on at an affordable price point for your customers. Application flexibility, so both in terms of QoS for voice, video, and data, and multiple operating modes. So by multiple operating modes, I mean capability to do different link allocations depending on whether you need more latency in this part of your network, more throughput over here, better uplink, better downlink. All of that flexibility is configurable in ePMP at the Mac scheduler level. Reliability, so industrial design, every unit's tested with industrial grade components to give the full operating range that we expect out of each product. So you can rely on it depending on any circumstance you choose to put it in. And return on investment. So when we look at return on investment, typically equipment that can support high average revenue per user services such as IPTV and other high bandwidth demanding services, typically at a much higher price point. We find every other solution at this price point can't really handle those kind of very high bandwidth, high latency demand applications. So when you can deploy equipment such as ePMP at an affordable price point that can deliver high return services, you can get your return on investment that much quicker. So the new releases for the ePMP family. So the ePMP 2000. So this is newly announced as of Tuesday this week. So this is the first time we're talking about it since the launch. So ePMP 2000 is made up of 3 main new hardware components. So the first is the ePMP 2000 access point with what we're calling intelligent filtering. I'll go into a little bit more detail on that soon. But to cover the access point itself, so this is a next generation ePMP access point delivering the same feature-rich performance that you'd expect from the ePMP 1000, but with a lot of extra innovative technologies to handle heavy interference and deliver the performance you expect in real-world situations. So the same 120 SM high scalability performance that you expect from ePMP, available in light, which is limited to 10 SMs, or full models. There is a license key to upgrade from the light to the full. The price of that is the difference between the light and full list prices. It's got an 802.3AT compliant gigabit Ethernet port, so it can be powered from an 802.3AT compliant gigabit Ethernet switch, which gives you a lot of flexibility in deployment, and covers a very wide frequency range, covering almost the whole 5 gig band from 5150 to 5970 megahertz. So one thing I'd like to point out is that the 2000 AP doesn't replace the 1000 AP. The 2000 AP is priced $100 higher at $599 as opposed to $499 for the 1000 access point, and the light versions have the same price difference. So the light version of the 2000 is $309 and $209 for the 1000. So the 1000 access point is not going away. The 2000 access point is very much a complementary product for demanding situations. So when we talk about demanding situations, we also need to bear in mind that even if you're deploying somewhere at the moment where you have a clean channel, depending on the networks that are coming up in your area, various sources of interference bringing up, whether it's a neighboring WISP, a Wi-Fi deployment in the middle of your links, anything like that, your network may not stay interference-free for very long. So when you consider whether it's worth having the 2000 or the 1000 AP, just think about where you would expect to see interference spring up in your network over the next year, 2 years, and how you best mitigate that with the 2000. So one other thing about the 2000 access point is it has an interface to this optional smart beamforming antenna. So this is an ePMP 2000 exclusive accessory product. It's a receive-only antenna, and it enables the primary performance benefit of ePMP 2000, which is a feature we're calling smart beamforming. We'll have a bit more detail on that soon, but fundamentally it is a very effective mitigation against co-channel uplink interference, which is something that we see worldwide drastically affecting network performance. So it covers the same frequency range as the 2000 access point. And if you can go to the next slide, please, Ray. So this is the third component of the ePMP 2000 hardware system. So we have a new ePMP 5 GHz sector antenna. So this replaces the existing 90 and 120 degree sector antennas that we've been using with ePMP for the last couple of years. So it's designed for frequency reuse, for AB-AB channel reuse with 4 sectors covering 90 degrees each using 2 channels. So to that end we've got 35 dB front to back ratio, which is very high, considerably higher than the previous ePMP sector antenna, which really helps to mitigate self-interference and allow you to scale your network up to the size that you need to be to grow your business. So channel flexibility, consistent gain from 4.9 to 6 gigahertz. So what we found with many other sector antennas is that when the installer actually deployed the sector antenna, only one gain figure was listed for the antenna, but that was an ideal best case figure for somewhere in the middle of the band on one specific channel. So what this meant to the installer was that if he put up the antenna and he wanted to change, say, 200 megahertz away to a different channel, something like that, then he could have a drastically different gain profile and may not be able to actually connect the subscribers that he needs to on that channel. So it takes a lot of the guesswork out of installing compared to other sector antennas. So consistent coverage, excellent null fill. So what do we mean by null fill? So again, what we found with many other sector antennas was that subscribers who were closer to the tower actually couldn't connect because the profile of the sector antenna was such that it excluded many subscribers who were closer to the tower. You would think you'd have more problems connecting subscribers further away, but that was not what we found. So null fill means that you have a consistent expectation of the coverage that you can get from this antenna regardless of how far away subscribers are from the tower. So it's designed for the installer with small compact design. It's actually, as you can see from the AP mounted on the back, that is a 1000 AP in the picture. You can see the profile of sector antenna is quite a lot smaller than the previous ePMP sector antenna. So on the back is an integrated ePMP 1000 and ePMP 2000 radio mount. and integration for the GPS antenna, which runs up the side of the antenna, a little cable run, and fits in the top, so it's easy to mount the GPS antenna as well. Sector antenna is integrated into Link Planner with 3D models at all elevations, so you can see exactly the performance that you're going to get with this antenna. So if you could go to the next slide, please, Ray. So this is how it all fits together. So you can see from the side profile on the left, you have the ePMP 2000 AP in there. That thing protruding from the top is an environmental cover to keep the system protected from the weather. It's mounted to the back of the ePMP sector antenna. You can see that the adjustable tilt at the top bracket helps you to get the coverage that you need. And then at the bottom, the ePMP 2000 smart antenna, which enables the smart beamforming feature, easily connects onto the bottom of the ePMP sector antenna with 2 extra cables running into the bottom of the ePMP 2000 access point. So just a note on the mounting of the smart antenna and the AP itself. Although we definitely recommend for the best performance and installer experience that people use the ePMP sector antenna with ePMP 2000 and ePMP 1000. ePMP 2000 and the smart antenna will function with third-party antennas. Both the access point and the smart include a pole mount so that they can be mounted below. So you can mount the smart antenna below a third-party sector antenna and mount the AP however you need to fit it on the tower. Although we do find that it's much easier to align the antenna with the bracket that fixes the smart antenna to the ePMP sector antenna, because then there's only one set of up or down tilt and angular alignment that you need to do. So we talk about smart beamforming performance. So there is there seems to be a slight issue displaying this slide. There should be some graphics of interferers on the right here. So what we're seeing is that in the case of co-channel interference, when we have a ePMP SM at the bottom here, and we have at each of these points where we have a degree line pointing out is where an interferer is on channel. So as we see the interferer hitting right across where the ePMP SM is also trying to transmit, we see performance that was at 70 megabits per second dipped to around 10 due to the heavy on-channel interference. So if you could go to the next one, Ray. Yes, so you see the same performance without beamforming as you do, well, without beamforming. So if you could go to the next one, please, Ray. Keep going. So you can see as the interferer is at a different angular separation than the SM, beamforming starts to have a significant impact. That's a very small separation between the interferer and the SM. But as we continue through this, you can see that without beamforming, there's still significant performance detriment. But as the interferer gets even 20 degrees away, which if you think about a 90-degree sector is not too much of a stretch of the imagination, beamforming introduces significant performance benefits. So we can see the most extreme case in terms of 40 degrees of angular separation between the subscriber and the interferer is a leap from 20 meg per second uplink performance without beamforming to 70 megabits per second with beamforming. So in our lab testing, we've seen some very compelling results of around this level of angular separation, where we could have the SM only able to reach around 5 to 6 megabits of uplink speed with a very heavy on-channel interferer. And then by enabling the ePMP 2000 smart beamforming feature with the smart antenna, we saw a jump to easily around 40 to 42 megabits per second uplink performance. So that was around an 8 times performance increase from this feature. So the other part of the ePMP 2000 technology I wanted to touch on is the intelligent filtering feature. So traditional radio systems would use a filter that is static and would just lock around one particular channel, and that's built in from initial design of the radio and can't really be changed. So what intelligent filtering does differently is it moves around the channel depending on which channel is selected and wraps the channel really in a protective bubble so that interference's impact on it is limited. So this addresses adjacent channel interference. So between smart beamforming addressing co-channel interference and intelligent filtering addressing adjacent channel interference, ePMP 2000 really is built to handle the two most common types of interference that really heavily affect your network, particularly in the uplink. Even though we're talking about uplink performance, there is still a significant benefit for downlink performance as well, although we typically see uplink performance being the biggest victim of this kind of interference, which is why we really focused on it with the ePMP 2000 design. It is still a benefit to downlink performance, as when you're not losing uplink traffic such as TCP acknowledgements or requests, then the downlink performance is also improved as a function of that as well. So intelligent filtering is also applied in ePMP 2000 in the transmit direction as well as the receive. So whilst the receive direction will help you keep your network going in the face of adjacent channel interference, which is what we see typically with many antennas installed on a rooftop all blasting as loud as they can, what we see as well is that many Wi-Fi chipset-based products have quite a poor transmit mask. So what I mean by that is when they transmit, they make a lot more interference than is necessary in the spectrum. So by applying intelligent filtering on the transmit side on ePMP 2000, we cut out a lot of that noise as well. So not only are we reducing the interference of reducing the impact of interference on your network with ePMP 2000, we're also reducing the interference that we introduce to other networks as well. So just a little update on the ePMP software roadmap. So release 262 in June is a set of bug fixes, a new recovery feature to help users recover units that have perhaps, if you have an issue with doing a software upgrade during a power failure, or you have a unit that has reset due to power fluctuations or cable issues, things like that, and hidden SSID support for the Wi-Fi mode. In release 3.0 in June is the first release supporting ePMP 2000, and we expect to see some ePTP throughput increase to achieve greater than 200 megabits per second in the low latency ePTP mode as well. So release 3.1 in July has a vast array of GUI speed improvements, which I know is something that the ePMP user community has wanted for a while, so expect to see that pretty soon. In the second half of the year, we have some significant projects underway. I can't divulge all of them at the moment, but we'll keep you posted on what happens. The major feature that is planned for second half that I can talk about at the moment is IPv6 management support, which should be good for those of you operating in either networks which require government tenders where they will require IPv6, or those of you actually using IPv6 for end-user management due to IP address depletion as well. So I think that's all from me in terms of the presentation. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat window, and thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Alex. And this is also a good time to remind everybody that if you go to the web page for the ePMP 2000, you'll find plenty of information there. The spec sheets are there, and you'll also find some videos that help to explain some of the technology that you talked about with the smart beamforming and intelligent filtering. In addition, I'd welcome anybody to go to community.cambiumnetworks.com. There you'll find discussions and also field results from our beta testers who are actually using the equipment themselves. A lot of times it's one thing to hear about performance from us, and it's great to hear third-party customers take this out, put it on their towers, and share their results as well.
Absolutely. Also, one similar thing on that note is on our YouTube channel, the Cambium Networks YouTube channel has a replay of the ePMP 2000 launch event, which also has some more information. It also has a live customer testimonial from a beta customer as well at eVergent in Wisconsin. So that's well worth watching as well to get some real-world customer feedback on the product as well.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Alex. Thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your day, and we look forward to seeing you on a future webinar or on the community. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.